On this day, my role was as a Capitol Police officer. I'm Harry Dunn, and that meant putting aside who I am, a father, a Marylander, a Democrat, because I swore an oath to protect our Constitution, to protect our democracy. It's what allowed me to protect some members of Congress who I knew were bigots, who helped fan the flames that started all of this. I put country above self. The problem is, a lot of them didn't. Some of the same people who stood behind us when we protected them went back on the floor of Congress and stood behind Trump. They voted to acquit him. And worst of all, they denied the violence and trauma that led to the death of some of my fellow officers. I couldn't stand by and watch. I had another role to play. I used my voice to speak out, to get into good trouble. And a few weeks ago, I left the force after more than 15 years of service, so that today I can announce I'm running for Congress. We can't ever let this happen again. And you've heard it from Trump himself. He is hell-bent on finishing what he started this day. I'm stepping into a new role today, but I can't do it alone. I believe every one of us has a role to play in this fight. So join me. We've got a democracy to protect.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So we already knew this was coming, but it's here again, quickly. It's time for the annual reminder on the very, very fake Democrat holiday that is January 6th. And Joe Biden and all his Democrat friends, they think that you and me, through our vote, through our beliefs, even probably through our thoughts, are a danger to democracy. But it's not real. They don't believe it. The ones actually calling the shots, they do not believe it. This is just a psyop. This is just propaganda meant to prey on weak-minded, low IQ, low information Democrat voters, get them all scared of their neighbors and get them out to vote. That is all this is. This is designed to seize control. And like you saw in the open, there's literally nothing that they won't do. Now we have partisan, tribalist, Capitol Police officers, which, if you're keeping score at home, those are the only police officers that Democrats actually care about or support in any possible way, is Capitol, not just Capitol Police officers, but Democrat Capitol Police officers. When we now have guys just like the officer I showed you, dishonoring and disgracing every bit of service that they gave this country by saying that anyone who would support Donald Trump is a bigot because what he did led to the death of officers. None of that is even close to true. And this guy knows that. This guy knows that that is not true. And so does this guy. But you would never, ever, ever guess from watching this display.
One desperate act available to him: the violence of January the 6th. And since that day, more than 1,200 people have been charged for their assault on the Capitol. Nearly 900 of them have been convicted or pled guilty. Collectively, to date, they have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison. And what's Trump done? Instead of calling them criminals, he's called these insurrectionists patriots. They're patriots. And he promised to pardon them if he returns to office. Trump said that there was a lot of love on January the 6th. The rest of the nation, including law enforcement, saw a lot of hate and violence. One Capitol Police officer called it a medieval battle. That same officer was called vile racist names, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany. He proudly posts on social media the words that best describe his 2024 campaign, quote, revenge, quote, power, and quote, dictatorship. There's no confusion about who Trump is.
Yeah, you guys see that. And before you laugh it off, before you dismiss it, I want to remind you guys, there are millions and millions and millions of people who believe this stuff. As crazy as it is, man, they believe this stuff. And honestly, when you think about it, that's pretty scary. You know, I It's just terrifying. I doubt that any of you watching this actually subjected yourself to watching Joe Biden last night. If you did, good for you. But I doubt you did. I hope that you saved that time. But I do think that Joe Biden said some pretty important things that I want to go over, but not really in the way that he thinks he said important things. I want to take just a minute to hear what kind of dictator Donald Trump is from the guy who is literally locking up political opponents.
In trying to rewrite the facts of January 6th, Trump is trying to steal history the same way he tried to steal the election. But we knew the truth because we saw it with our own eyes. This wasn't like a story being told. It was on television repeatedly. We saw it with our own eyes.
Here's what he's saying right here. Just a reminder, folks, everyone watching this, you saw it with your own eyes, so it has to be true. I told you what happened, we told you what happened, and then we showed you the very, very few hours out of thousands and thousands of hours that fit that narrative. So it's got to be true. I'm honest.
Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault. They were insurrectionists, not patriots. They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution. Trump won't do what an American president must do. He refuses to denounce political violence. So hear me clearly. I'll say what Donald Trump won't. Political violence is never, ever acceptable in the United States political system. Never, never, never. It has no place in a democracy.
Except, of course, if you're a Democrat, burning down police stations and Portland federal buildings, or maybe even taking over an entire section of Seattle as you fantasize about starting your own country.
You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. You know, Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it. At his rally, he jokes about an intruder whipped up by the big Trump lie, taking a hammer to Paul Pelosi's skull and echoing the very same words used on January 6th. Where's Nancy?
Guys, David DePape, by the way, lifelong leftist, lifelong mental patient, lifelong Democrat activist. And here is the very, very best part. An illegal immigrant. But every one of Biden's 36 percenters who just heard that is going to believe that he's some sort of MAGA insurrectionist. And guys, I mean, that is, if they can convince the low IQ that their own people are MAGA insurrectionists, then we're in big trouble, man.
And he thinks that's funny. He laughed about it. What a sick... My God. I think it's despicable, seriously. Not just for a president, for any person to say that. But to say it to the whole world listening. When I was overseas, anyway. Oh, yeah. Trump's assault on democracy isn't just part of his past. It's what he's promising for the future. He's being straightforward. He's not hiding the ball. His first rally for the 2024 campaign opened with a choir of January 6th insurrectionists singing from prison on a cell phone, while images of the January 6th riot played on a big screen behind him at his rally. Can you believe that? This is like something out of a fairy tale, a bad fairy tale.
Yeah, Joe, this is, without a doubt, a very, very bad fairy tale. It's two tales of one day. You know, one side says that it was just an angry, violent mob that the Democrats set the precedent for. You know, one that Joe Biden appears to be attempting to repeat if we're to judge by his actions and by his words. And the other side, the side that's actually in control of the government, says that it was an insurrection, all while not even charging one person, not one, with actual insurrection. You know, luckily, where we are right now, man, no one reasonable believes a word of this nonsense anymore. And every single time, thankfully, that Joe Biden opens his mouth, he helps Donald Trump. Every time he gives one of these unhinged speeches based on complete and total Democrat fantasy, more people wake up. And my question is always the same, man. If Trump is so bad, why are most things that people believe about him completely fabricated? Myths, truths, and complete misrepresentations. And if January 6th was exactly as they say it was, why do they go completely apoplectic every time someone shows footage that doesn't perfectly fit that narrative? And if all of these events are connected, and if all of this violence is connected and meant to damage America, why do they need to lie and claim the Pelosi attacker was some sort of MAGA extremist? And guys, what is it going to take for people to be open-minded to real and actual truth, uncomfortable truth sometimes? And is that even possible? You know, this is going to be an interesting year, guys. I'm not sure how everything's going to turn out. I will say that I don't think we can survive another 4 years just like this, but that's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of the channel's growth, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. We'll see you in the next one.